Okay, let's jump straight into the later, because we're looking at one of the absolute most audacious crimes in modern history, the Vestberga helicopter heist. But, we aren't going to start at the drawing board. No way. We're starting right in the middle of a terrifying climax, where every single second counts.
Picture this incredibly reality on the ground. It's September 23, 2009, 5:15 a.m. in Vestberga, Sweden. Inside this massive G4S cash depot, employees are just working the night shift, literally counting mountains of banknotes. Then suddenly, the entire building just shakes. Explosives are mangling a reinforced steel door, smoke is rapidly filling the counting room, and the workers down below, they're waiting in sheer terror as a heavily armed crew systematically blows their way into the facility. So fleeing the smoke and the blasts, the team completely retreats. 14 people are now crammed into an airlock that was designed for exactly one person. It is incredibly cramped. The heat is becoming totally unbearable, and because it's a hermetically sealed room, cell service is completely dead. And get this, among these 14 terrified employees just bracing for the vault door to blow is a pregnant woman. They have absolutely no idea if the robbers are going to blast right through their hiding. It illustrates the raw panic of the moment. Right before the robbers breached the inner facility, the depot manager, realizing what was happening, shouted a final desperate order: secure the money. The staff frantically tried to lock the cash away in these heavy steel cages, securing them with padlocks before fleeing to that tiny airlock. It is a scene of absolute, breathless chaos.
But wait, before that reinforced door gives way completely, we've got to rewind. How did a crew of thieves actually manage to orchestrate an infiltration straight out of an action movie? Let's smash cut to the past, about 1 month earlier, to see the meticulous, frankly unbelievable planning that went into this strike.
What's really wild about this whole thing is the timeline of missed opportunities. Swedish authorities actually had advanced warning. Back in August, Serbian intelligence warned them that a crew of international thieves was planning a $13 million chopper heist. They even gave specifics, like 3 robbers entering from a roof. So Swedish police stepped up their security measures. But when the expected mid-September deadline passed without an attack, the police stood down their high alert and moved their own helicopters back to their normal base. Just days later, on September 23, the heist happens.
So the crucial point here is that the mastermind behind this, Goran Bojovic, exploited a massive systemic vulnerability. G4S is a colossal global security firm, right? They guard places like the Pentagon and nuclear power plants. But this civilian cash depot in Vestberga, the government never classified it as a protected site. Because of that little detail, the architectural blueprints showing floor plans, roofs, and staircases were completely documented and publicly available. Anyone could just look them up online. The robbers literally had the exact layout handed to them on a silver platter.
Okay, bringing us right back to that terrifying 5:15 a.m. moment. Out of the dark morning sky, a stolen white Bell 206 chopper barrels toward the roof. Now, it's a small helicopter, normally seating 5, definitely not built for heavy cargo. Yet, with remarkable precision, the pilot lands it perfectly on the depot's roof, squeezing it right between a glass pyramid and the edge of the building.
Execution from this point is just terrifyingly precise. First, the rooftop landing. Next, 3 men jump out, and one immediately takes a heavy sledgehammer to the glass pyramid on the roof. When that doesn't fully work, they pivot, using dynamite to blast through the counting room windows. They lower themselves in, blow the internal doors, and then bring out the buzzsaws. They slice right through the padlocks of the cash cages the employees had just frantically secured. All of this is happening in mere minutes. It's like they're dismantling a giant puzzle.
Meanwhile, down on the ground, it's a totally different story. The robbers completely paralyzed the police response. The first officers rushing to the scene drove right into 10-meter-long metal chains, basically giant spiked caltrops, stretching across every access road, which instantly shredded their tires. Even worse, the robbers had planted fake dummy bombs on the police helicopters at their hangar in Mittenjay, completely grounding air support. To top the whole thing off, ground units on the scene were given a strict no-fire order because shooting at a helicopter in a populated area was deemed way too dangerous. The police were just left there, completely helpless.
30 minutes. That is all it took. In just half an hour, the crew unloads their gear, breaches the counting room, packs the cash into mail bags, hoists them back up the ladders to the roof, and loads them into the chopper. The Bell 206 just lifts off, vanishing unbothered right into the morning sky. By the time the SWAT team finally manages to enter the building, the robbers are long gone, and those terrified employees are finally freed from the airlock. So, as you can imagine, this high-stakes escape triggered a massive nationwide manhunt. The stolen chopper was found abandoned in the woods just a couple of hours later. And while the authorities were initially humiliated, they still had those Serbian wiretaps and some physical clues left behind, allowing them to start tracking down suspects. This quickly led to a series of arrests, including a very surprising suspect, an elite TV producer who ran in high society circles named Alexander Eriksson.
Erickson was accused of being the escape pilot, but his defense relied on a supposedly clever Hollywood alibi, a car crash in central Stockholm that night. But honestly, juxtapose that against the mundane reality. CCTV footage caught him calmly buying a McDonald's breakfast near where the helicopter was abandoned, an hour after his supposed crash and a 30-minute walk from the drop site. The reality of a fast food security camera entirely unraveled his story.
Ultimately, the whole shebang just fell apart. DNA found on burned gloves left at a bus stop, blood left on the sledgehammer, and those extensive wiretaps entirely stripped away their mystique. These weren't elite military commandos like the public initially speculated. They were just a ragtag group of violent criminals. The trial resulted in 7 convictions, with the key players, including that TV producer, and the mastermind Goran Bojovic, receiving severe prison sentences.
But let's pivot for a second, because here is why this truly matters for our daily lives today. The impact of this heist went way beyond a single cash depot. The sheer trauma and audacity of this robbery forced Swedish society to fundamentally rethink its entire economy. Trade unions spoke out strongly, stating, handling cash creates a dangerous work environment for retail and bank employees. They argued that for their own protection, the country simply needed to get rid of it.
And it was a real game changer. This exact heist effectively accelerated Sweden's transition into becoming a pioneer of the cashless society. Think about the numbers for a second. In 2008, there were over 100 bank robberies in Sweden. By 2016, that number was down to just 2. Today, Sweden has one of the absolute lowest amounts of cash in circulation in the entire world. This dramatic societal shift effectively killed the era of physical bank robberies for good.
We are still left with this incredibly gritty, lingering mystery. The perpetrators were caught, for sure, but they had carefully calculated their payload to avoid weighing down the helicopter. They left millions behind, escaping with just under $5 million. And that stolen fortune? It was never recovered. Which leaves us with this final question. Whose hands is that unrecovered $5 million sitting in right now?